I'm the Irish guy, and spare a thought for Mason Tony Mount, who for the last few years has just been living in his mum's attic whilst eating homemade shepherd's pie out of a sock, right? I mean, good Christ, the poor boy is earning just £88,000 a week at Chelsea. I mean, he must be this close to just completely caving and just stealing from the local church donation box. I mean, this is a Champions League winner who should be living the millionaire's dream, right? Instead of having to sell his match-worn socks on eBay just so he can afford a Friday night pizza, right? I mean, right now, Chelsea are unable to negotiate anybody's contracts, right? But for Chelsea fans, sure, losing Rudiger is sad, but I mean, it's not the end of the world. Good Christ, you've had him for 5 years. And pre-Tuchel, many of you probably held him on par with a former Chelsea defender like Alex. It's just a bit meh. I mean, Christ, well, Frank Lampard made it pretty clear that he thought that Rudiger was about as defensively sound as a bowl of shreddies filled with pigeon piss. But this is the horrible news story that has probably caused you Chelsea fans to puke liver bile all over your pillow. Because apparently Chelsea's golden boy, Mason Mount, could be sold to Liverpool or Man City. Now, normally I would say that a transfer story like this, it's about as credible as Sharon Osbourne's nose. I mean, come on, Mount has been on the books of Chelsea since 2005, and he's now the face of a team who just won the Champions League. I mean, surely there's more chance of him licking ice cream off a public toilet seat than there is for him to walk out on them now, right? Normally, yes, but this one is different. I mean, some players just have the look of a one-club man. I mean, Christ, look, Phil Foden is so quintessentially Manchester, he almost looks like he belongs to the cast of Shameless. This is a bona fide Manchester City boyhood fan with blue blood in his veins. If he ever decides that he's too big for the Etihad and demands to leave, that'll be the day that I eat a chunk of boiled rat out of a bin. I mean, it's not going to happen, but Mount, even to this day, he's never once admitted that Chelsea are his favourite team. No, just 2 years ago, he was telling everyone that he's still pumpy through and through. This isn't a kid who grew up with posters of Drogba or Lampard on his walls. Nah, instead he was spending his childhood not watching The Lion King or Toy Story like the rest of us. Nah, instead salivating over DVDs of Benjani and Canoe. This is a fella who probably turned up at Fratton Park as a 10-year-old boy, drooling over Jermaine Defoe and Peter Crouch. This is not a Chelsea fan who stood on the terraces of Stamford Bridge.
I was lucky enough to share a pitch with David Nugent at Derby last season. He was a bit of a legend at Portsmouth and I was always a big fan, and then the next minute I was playing with him.
Yeah. When he was in the Championship, Mount was being coached by Chelsea's record goal scorer, and yet still, the person who made him starstruck was David Nugent. Someone who, while at Portsmouth, Harry Redknapp tried to sell him after just 4 training sessions. Someone with the natural ball-playing ability of a Himalayan goat. But Chelsea, beware. If you are not a childhood Chelsea fan, you can very easily leave the club. I mean, Frank Lampard was in a similar boat as Mount. Yes, Chelsea hero, but he wasn't a boyhood Chelsea fan, and so yeah, he was minutes away from ditching you after just 5 years to go and sign for Inter Milan. And let's not forget, for the last 2 years, Mount, yes, he might look like a smiley Ned Flanders, but there's so many articles talking about how frustrated he is at the club. Before the sanctions kicked in a few months ago, apparently Mount had been offered a deal worth £150,000 a week, and he didn't think that was enough. Now sure, you might think,
Oh, what a greedy little pug! I hope he slips in the shower!
but he's right. Even on that new wage, he would still be earning less money than Juan Mata is now. Someone who Chelsea moved on nearly 9 years ago. That is still £30,000 a week less than Alexander Lacazette. It's roughly the same sort of wage as Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. No, I'm sorry, if Jack Grealish earns £300,000 a week, then a midfielder who's actually won the Champions League needs a bit of that too. Right now, Mason Mount makes less money per week than Adam Lallana, Ross Barkley and Dele Alli. I'm sorry, what? He's on 40 grand less than Danny Ings and Callum Hudson-Odoi. Wilfred Zaha takes home £50,000 a week more every week at Crystal Palace. And he's played about as much Champions League football as that sick dog on the street. This isn't exactly a case of a petulant Ashley Cole threatening to crash his car into a lamppost. No, I stand with Mount. Pay the man what he's worth. He's currently earning less money than Bert Leno. I can see why he might be annoyed, but I can't get over how much this man's stock has exploded over the last few years. He has blown up like football's answer to Mr. Beast. I mean, Christ, about 4 years ago, he was just an anonymous tub of hair gel, scrubbing his way through Chelsea's youth teams. And this was a newspaper headline about his future.
Chelsea started Mason Mount wanted by QPR, Reading and Norwich after stunning season in Holland.
Yeah. He's gone from courting the interest of an array of championship clubs to now the cream of Europe's elite wanting him. Christ, a few years ago he was the subject of a bid from Kilmarnock, being offered the chance to play under Lee Clark, someone who's clearly proved he is a managerial armpit stain because he went on to get sacked by Bury, Blythe Spartans, Al Ittihad in Oman and Al Merrick in Sudan. Oh yeah, and he was the director of football at Newcastle Blue Star. Imagine if Mount had decided to place his teenage years in the hands of this guy, someone who right now is probably eating sausage rolls on some beanbag in Tynemouth. A move to Scotland might just have turned this fella into Chelsea's answer to Matty Longstaff. Yeah, remember him? But credit to Mount, this man's stock is blown up to a ridiculous degree. If there had never been that Chelsea transfer ban, which shut down the mega money transfer deals at Stamford Bridge, forcing them to rely on the youth, then lads, I'm guessing this fellow will currently be on loan at Crystal Palace. Instead, last year, the guy was dressing up as James Bond for the Ballon d'Or. I mean, mental. And it's a credit to him for not going off the rails. Because right now, he could legitimately have the ego of a Kieran Dyer, a Champions League winner swanning into London nightclubs and choosing to spit peach vodka into the barmaid's eye. Honestly, this man, in his head, he could have been untouchable. So it's all credit to him that we don't see stories of him getting chucked out of casinos or urinating on the homeless. Fair play to Mount, he's got his head screwed on. But apparently, 3 of the biggest clubs in the Premier League are putting plans in place to sign him. Okay, so that's Man City and Liverpool. Who else? Man United? My guess would be that it is Man United because go back to April 2018 and Erik ten Hag wanted to bring him to Ajax. And I'm sorry, can you imagine how mouth-watering that would have been? Sticking Mount into that star-studded Ajax dream team which reached the semi-finals of the Champions League, playing in a field that looks like Frankie de Jong and Donny van de Beek, surrounded by Dusan Tadic and Hakim Ziyech. I mean, look at the other teams interested in him. Yeah, trying to imagine Mount wasting his talent and youth on the books of Norwich or QPR. Again, it's like trying to imagine your uncle in the shower, but playing in that Ajax dream team who bullied Real Madrid at the Bernabeu. But listen, if Manchester United do stick a monster mega money bid in for Mason Mount, I'm sorry, what? Replacing one Mason with another? Oh, it's just a bit weird. It's a bit like finding out your wife's been selling drugs to kids. Oh, she goes to prison for a while. And so you just go on Tinder hoping to match someone with the same name. Price him up, what are you gonna do? Make him wear the same pajamas? Oh, it's just a bit creepy. Don't do it, Mount. Don't do to your career what Juan Mata did in 2014. Leaving Chelsea to go to a struggling Man United. I mean, as a result, he's going to end his career with less Premier League titles than Danny Simpson. Again, if Ten Hag even dares to pick up the phone to give you a ring, then you should very immediately threaten to call the police. Treat a phone call from Eric the same way you treat a 3 a.m. text from that fat, creepy slob watching Rugrats in his ice cream van. Then again, is it really Man United? Because last time I checked, they were plotting a £75 million move for James Ward-Prowse, signing both Mount and JWP. What? Throwing away £150 million in one summer on 2 players who you could have snapped up for free if you just sent a scout to Portsmouth in 2004. Again, who else? If Man City come in for Mount, again, no, Mason, I realise it's tempting. Cries above the chance to learn and play under Pep Guardiola. Not to mention your wages will go from £88,000 a week to about £300,000 a week. Honestly, yes, I'm actually recommending that Mount reject an offer from arguably the best team in the world when as a company they're prepared to quadruple his wages. I mean, this is mental advice from me, right? Saying no to that. This is like a career guidance counsellor who advises a budding young business student from Dublin to flunk all his important exams to instead sell sausage rolls out of a wheelie bin in Ennis, right? But no, Mount, trust me, I'm not trying to sabotage you here, but you do not want a move to Manchester City. There is no room at the inn. I mean, the young English marketable face of that club right now is Phil Foden. So Mount, by contrast, is suddenly going to look about as attractive as Russell Brand's toothbrush. Admittedly, probably something which hasn't been used in about 7 months. But again, it'd be like Arsenal when they signed that Welsh wonder kid Aaron Ramsey from Cardiff when they already had Cesc Fabregas and Jack Wilshere on the payroll. Yeah, he was a good player, yes, but lad, before that leg break at Stoke, does nobody remember he was about as exciting as a mouldy wet cabbage? Mount to City, he would be swallowed up. And suddenly after 2.5 years, he would just be the club's answer to James Milner, wasting away on the bench and begging to be given 10-minute cameos. But I'm gonna say this. Mason Mount should move to Liverpool, if only to complete a revenge mission. Let's be honest, for years, when they were in the wilderness and not invited to title race parties, Liverpool were walked over by everybody. 4 years, Christ above. The minute Steven Gerrard won the Champions League, Chelsea were the home wreckers, trying to move heaven and earth to break up this marriage. For Liverpool, Chelsea and their transfer tactics was a huge, massive headache. So now, 17 years later and the tables have turned, and now Liverpool could be the ones to rip out a Chelsea Chelsea homegrown product the summer after he wins the Champions League. Now, yes, Gerrard was way more important to Liverpool than Mount is to Chelsea, but still, don't think for a second that the sight of Mason Mount in a Liverpool shirt wouldn't cause Chelsea fans to feel like they've just chewed rotten pig flesh off the floor. It would honestly cause them to spew blood out their mouth. But Mount, do it! The chance to work under Jurgen Klopp for the next 4 years and playing in a disciplined midfield role alongside Thiago Alcantara, trust me, Mason Mount would morph into a truly world-class footballer. I mean, let's be honest, Thomas Tuchel will be gone from Stamford Bridge in about 18 months, and who knows? Chelsea will be coached by who? Brendan Rodgers, Graham Potter, or John Terry? Honestly, I mean, the latter could be brilliant. He could also be the Stamford Bridge Ollie, with the tactics of burnt veggie pizza. For all we know, 6 months under him, and Mount could morph into the next Steve Sidwell. Klopp provides 4 years of crucial stability during Mount's mid-20s. And one thing this epic title race misses is that sort of Keane Vieira type of midfield rivalry. Putting Mount in a hungry, high-pressing Liverpool midfield, pitting 2 of England's young superstars against each other. I mean, Foden v Mount might not exactly be Keane v Vieira, but it could be on a level of Gerrard v Lampard. I mean, that is what the Premier League lacks right now, a bit of bite. And also, I just want to see an ugly transfer of the highest order, because they seem to be growing rarer and rarer. I mean, last summer, the big transfer was someone swapping Aston Villa for Man City. A plotline we've already seen so many times before, and I'm sorry, but Fabian Delph did it better. There were actual tears and anger when he did it, instead of Villa fans just sending Grealish kisses on Instagram. Chelsea need to taste their own medicine, because they used to be the home wreckers. Twice well, within 5 minutes of their 2003 takeover, they were trying to buy Thierry Henry. I mean, for an Arsenal fan, can you imagine how annoying that must have been? It would be like if Newcastle spent this summer trying to sign Kevin De Bruyne. And it's just a complete lack of self-awareness. Oh, it's like some pot-bellied mechanic from Wigan winning the lottery and then suddenly thinking it's appropriate to send love letters to Tom Hardy's wife, despite you having the sexual charisma of that bald fella off Wallace and Gromit. But this is what I want. I want an earth-shattering, Premier League breaking transfer, which makes one set of fans feel like burning down the other guy's house. The modern day Sol Campbell to Arsenal or Carlos Tevez to Man City. This doesn't happen anymore. Everyone is just too respectful. Nobody dares to upset the apple cart by trying to sign one of their title rivals' best players. But this, a Mount move to Liverpool, would cause utter, unapologetic chaos. Anyway, that's it, guys. Let me know in the comments section below. Should Mason Mount move to Liverpool? Let me know in the comments section below. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe. As always, I'll talk to you in a while.